Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are live. Good evening. I'm Tom Schmidt, the President of the Town Council. I'd like to call to order a special Town Council meeting for March 26, 2020 at 5 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for the members that's here.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Troxel, can you call roll call for the members that's here?
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Councilman Rob Gesloff.
Present.
Councilman Kevin Conley.
Present.
Councilman Robert Arnaitis.
Present.
Councilman Caleb Johnson.
Present.
And Council President Tom Schmidt.
Here.
We have Recording Secretary Robin Teal.
Present.
We have Town Manager Bob Folkman.
Here.
Town Attorney David Ostrian.
Present.
IT Director Dan Ginn.
Present.
In the other room, we have Chief of Police Pete Sormas.
Here.
We have Fire Chief Bob Patterson. Power Superintendent John Opusich.
Here.
The Town Court Administrator Tom Anderson.
Here.
Public Works Director Jeff Hewitt.
Here.
We have Director of Operations Jim Gorman.
Here.
And Clerk Treasurer Mike Troxel. All here, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Troxel. Due to the present circumstances with the coronavirus and the COVID-19, we are bringing this meeting tonight live on YouTube for our town website. Our residents will be able to watch, listen, and they also had, throughout the day, had the opportunity to call in comments or questions by phone. We are also following our national and state orders of maximum 10 people at gatherings, and also keeping our safe 6 feet distance from each other. I want to especially thank the IT department led by Dan Ginn, not only for preparing the IT issues to do this meeting tonight with the remote controls, but also for implementing the emergency plan that he implemented on getting several, or I should say many of our town employees on remote access to work out of the buildings. That was an excellent job, Dan. Later in the meeting, you will hear from each of our department heads on their department and what changes that they have done to keep the services to our town. If there's a delay in each of their presentations, because of the time needed to switch over to each one of them. First, we have to take care of some quick business that's on our agenda. Our first item is item A. On new business, item A, consider acceptance of supplementary agreement covering the reconstruction of roadway, reconstruction of railroad, highway, grade crossing, and relocation of grade crossing warning devices between the town of Schererville and Wisconsin Central Ltd. for Eagle Ridge Drive, Hennessy Greenway Trail, contingent upon attorney review and acceptance by the railroad. Mr. Volkman, do you have comment on this, please?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is an add-on agreement to the Hennessy Trail project. We need to have this process so that it is part of our recapture of funds for the project.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. The second item tonight is we're going to discuss the operations during the COVID-19 emergency and all matters related thereto. On behalf of myself and the rest of the council, we want to thank all of our employees for stepping up, making work adjustments, making schedule adjustments, and following all the orders given out due to the virus. You've all shown a lot of dedication, and one thing that with tonight's meeting is We will answer any questions if we had any that came in. And Dan, did we get any calls or questions that come in?
No, sir.
Thank you, Dan. And at this time, I will turn it over to our town manager, Bob Oakland, who will comment on several items where we are in our town due to the governor's orders and what's been implemented out in the field with our business people and our residents. Mr. Oakland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thanks to all of the residents, Schererville residents who have joined us tonight via YouTube. This is the first time we have done a live broadcast of one of our meetings, so please be patient as we work out any transmission issues. This is a challenging time for us all dealing with the COVID-19 emergency. We want to ensure all the Schererville residents that town offices are operating and continue to provide necessary services to all our residents. Our staff members are performing their duties and practicing social distancing as required by both the national and state directives. We have split our staffing in order to protect our employees and critical services. Each of our departments will report at this meeting remotely on their department's operations and how they have altered staff and schedules. Residents are encouraged to contact us via phone and email for any service needs, questions, or requests. Please follow the Schererville webpage, www.schererville.org, for general information plus information on COVID-19. You will find this information as well as the executive orders from our Governor, Eric J. Holcomb, on the website. So please keep an eye on the website or check us on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date with current information. Our offices are not open to the public for face-to-face business, but you can reach us by phone during business hours at, if you call our administration department for the town manager or the town council, call 219-322-2211 and prompt number 3 for assistance. The planning and building department, although not open to the public, is still processing permits and doing inspections. Permits can be applied for online through the town's website. The town staff will contact applicants via email or phone for processing. If you have permitting or general building department questions, you can email us at P&B, that's P-A-N-D-B, at Schererville.org, or call 219-322-2211, prompt 4 for assistance. I do have information from Republic Services regarding our trash and recycling pickup. In order to protect their employees, starting next week with the April 1st pickup, Republic will suspend the large item pickup until the COVID-19 emergency order is lifted. Their drivers are not allowed to get out of their trucks, so all materials will need to be placed in trash containers. They will dump any trash container, but will not pick up bags or items left on the ground. If you have separate trash can that has a removable lid, do not leave it on, as it will be lost when they dump the container. So if it's a hinge lid, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Yard waste is okay as long as it is in a container. Recycling will be picked up as scheduled, but please do not put trash in a recycling container. This contaminates the recycling material in the truck and will cause it to be disposed of instead of recycled. If you have questions, please contact Republic Services directly through the town's website, link located under Public Works, or call Schererville Public Works at 219-322-6688. I want to remind residents to remain calm and follow the directions they receive from their local and state officials. In order for us to beat this virus, we all need to do our part. This event puts a strain on all of us and our families, so be safe, take care, and God bless you all. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Chairman. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Bolton.
And ask Mr. Bolton a couple questions.
Yes, Mr. Gessler.
As far as the garbage goes now, are we going to let the press know?
Yes.
Get it in papers?
Yeah, Republic was supposed to do that because it's not just Schererville, it's for all of their customers. They were supposed to, this has all happened within the last day.
Right.
So they're supposed to be preparing stuff. It'll be on our website, Facebook, Twitter page, and we'll also do press releases.
Could we also use our phone system to also remind?
We can, but we don't try to use that for general information. We try to use that, so that when that code red goes off, people know to pay attention to it, that it's not just general information.
Okay, I'm just saying, because now, I know the dump is open,
Yes, it is.
Now, how is this going to impact our town dumping area?
It's not going to impact it at all. That's still open for business.
So, but I'm just saying, the stuff that people would leave normally for the garbage, people would pick up. They're gonna start taking it over to our,
They can.
and are we gonna have the dumpsters and all that stuff that we need there to handle the excess?
We do have the dumpsters there, and those are picked up because that's a different type of truck that picks those up. So that service has never been shut down. We've kept that open this whole time. They anticipating that people are home. They're probably doing things like cleaning out their garage and doing stuff. So we've always provided that service.
And do our people physically touch that stuff?
No, they use machines to load it into the dumpsters, and then the dumpsters picked up by a separate truck from the pump.
Very good, thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Truxell.
just one more comment related to the public services change in service. I do believe that any of those large items that were normally going to be put out there, they can be put back to the resident's garage and picked up at a later time when things get going again. So they don't necessarily have to bring it to our dump. They can hold in their garage until the order over, they can do that. That's all.
Thanks, Mark.
And Mr. Volkman, any other more comments? Is there anything else to let our residents know about the businesses as far as restaurants, bars, stores?
Sure. On our website, there's a lot of information. We have a listing of all the restaurants that have carry out food available and meals and dinners available to the public. For the most part, most retail businesses are closed. Parks are, which I let the park department, report on that. I know the trails are open, the parks are open, but the playgrounds and bathrooms are closed.
Thank you, Mr. Volkman. At this time, we'll hear from our fire chief, Bob Patterson, and our assistant chief, Dave Meyer. Bob and Dave were assigned to be our contacts for the federal, state, and county regulations, and they have met with many of the regulation people through this time for the first responders. Bob Patterson.
Good evening.
And Bob is speaking remotely there, so go ahead, Bob.
All right. Good evening. On behalf of the Schererville Fire Department, I would like to thank our town residents and local businesses in our great town for donating well-needed medical PPE. Schererville Fire Department is following our sponsoring hospitals protocols and the CDC's recommendations. As of today, our crews will be wearing PPE on every call, regardless of the nature. We have only transported one suspected COVID-19 case that turned out to be negative. After every call, the ambulances are being cleaned and disinfected before being placed back in service. The fire stations are closed to the public, but we will be available for phone calls at 322-2599. We are in close contact with our local hospitals and local EMA, along with the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. I would like to thank the men and women of the Schererville Fire Department for your strong and professional dedication during this difficult and trying time. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Is Assistant Chief Dave Meyer, are you on? Do you have any comment?
Negative, he's not here.
Okay. Hey, Bob, one question for myself. How are you doing locally on supplies?
We are, at this time, we're doing okay, and, we have put in our request to the EMA, who has submitted to the state, and we're waiting for some response to see if some equipment will be coming that way. As I said, we have had some local businesses and local people who have donated a few N95 masks and some other supplies for us, along with 18th Street Brewery, who have given us some hand sanitizers along with it. So we're doing okay. We're trying to make everything last as long as we can, and we're just hoping that some supplies will be coming soon.
Thank you, Chief Patterson. Council, any questions for Mr. Patterson?
No, sir.
We'll move to our police chief, Pete Sormas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, just for a recap from the last time that we met, the building, we're minimizing our access to the police for all the absolute necessary business. We have some signs set up in the front door, and we're asking anyone that's in need to come into the building to call first. And we're doing most, if not maybe 90% of our business now telephonically and hoping to resolve everyone's situation that needs us. And also, we have all our essential employees on staff daily. We've adjusted our day-to-day operations in accordance to the executive order. Unfortunately, we have not encountered any cases of COVID at this time. The officers have not made contact with anybody that's displaying any cases or something. And also, in addition, I'd like to thank everyone locally here that's contacted us and donated us and keeps us in our thoughts and prayers for these difficult times. And we've had several vendors and individuals just locally donate some much needed supplies to us, and we've been using those regularly. And in regards to supplies, we are working with the fire department, the EMA, and local vendors to keep stock with our supplies on a day-to-day basis. That's the end of my report. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Chief Suarez. Any questions from the council for the police chief?
No, thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
We'll move to our Public Works Director, Jeff Hewitt.
The Public Works Department has taken several steps to protect our employees and the general public from contact with each other in the attempt to stop the spread of the COVID-19. The first thing we've done is we have suspended all in-home visits into houses unless there is an extreme emergency, in which case our personnel have been trained to ask questions about whether anybody in the home is displaying symptoms. The only thing we would go in the home for at this point in time would be a water or sewer emergency. We continue to operate the town transfer station facilities with the dumpsters. And again, as Mr. Volkman stated, we are not in contact with that, which is why we can keep it open and keep it operating. We use machines to load all that, and it's not touched by our employees. The office staff is continuing to work with extended hours. We've split the office staff's hours so that we're starting at 7 a.m. and we have somebody working until 7 p.m. every day. We have split our work crews in half so that the two halves do not contact with each other. They are working separate days. They will be working 14-hour shifts 3 days a week. And we will be having a crew working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and the second crew will be working Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've extended the schedule out till the end of May. Of course, we can cancel it and go back to regular hours anytime we're given the okay to do that. We will endeavor not to pick up, touch things that residents leave out on the street. And we will keep the town dump facilities available to them as best we can. Any questions?
Mr. Gissel.
So Jeff, what is the purpose for the 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
In order to keep two crews separate, we had to extend their hours so that they can get their 40 hours in every week and still have a separation and not contact the other half of the crew.
Okay, and then the other part, I know I talked earlier to Mr. Volkman about was this dumping area, and I know that people don't have any contact Do your people inside the office have any contact with these public people?
Well, the one, we have isolated the front lobby of the Public Works office so that the general public walk into the girls at their desks anymore, which was always the we have a window with a sliding plastic separation. We still open air toward the girls. So the general public does have to come in and sign a sign-in sheet and show identification when needed that they are Schererville residents in order to use our facilities. And that is probably our one weakness in trying operation.
I don't know if there's something else that we can do about that, but I mean, coming from the health department myself, you know, that is a situation that should really be handled somehow.
We
They need not to have any, there shouldn't be any open contact there.
Okay, we will look at what we can do to close that off in that case. I mean, we get several times a day wiping it down with disinfectant wipes. We are spraying it with disinfectant aerosol spray types products. But again, that is our one weakness. But we do need to monitor who's using the facilities as it is restricted to Schererville residents only.
Right. But still, I mean, it still deals with the sneezing and the coughing and stuff like that, and that does linger there for quite a while.
Understood.
That's all I know. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Kessler. We'll move it. Any other questions for Public Works Director Jeffrey?
No. Thank you.
We'll move into our Parks Department, John Novosich.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. Currently, the community center is closed to the public, but our offices are still open and we are available by phone or email. We have suspended taking rental reservations for rooms at the community center, as well as picnic shelter rentals for days through May 10th. As Mr. Volkman alluded to earlier, per the executive order, we have closed our playgrounds through April 6th. All the playgrounds have signage stating that they're closed. We've taken additional measures to prevent usage by snow fencing around the four major playgrounds, Plum Creek, Reeder, Gorman, and Stevens Park. Some of the other ones have caution tape as well. In addition, we removed the swing seats from all the swings to prevent any usage. So far, the trails and the rest of the parks remain open, but again, per the guidance, groups of 10 or more are prohibited. So if there is an activity, I've been in contact, we've discussed this with the police chief. If there is a group of 10 or more out in the parks, they will be dispersed. So far, the public have refrained from using the playgrounds and the facilities that are closed, so we appreciate their cooperation during this time. And we look forward to this getting over and being able to get back to normal and having people use the parks. Are there any questions?
So John, you're going to monitor those bike paths and that stuff though? I mean, because, Chicago had that situation where they unfortunately had to close theirs because of too many people. And I know there were a lot of people out, these last couple of days when the weather was really nice, which is always good to see. That's what we want to see. But we definitely don't want to see a lot of people out there being close to each other. So,
yeah, we've been monitoring the trails and the playgrounds and the parks. From what I observed in staff, the usage on the trails have people have been using the trails have been in compliance with the guidelines. Fortunately, I don't believe we're going to see the impact of the trail usage like the major cities. People have been keeping their distance, so that's good to see. As I mentioned, the playgrounds have not been used so far. This is went into effect Wednesday. It was disheartening to go by Reeder yesterday after work on a nice day and not see anyone in the park playing, but at least there's been compliance. So I think we'll be pretty good as far as trail usage, and not having a mass amount of people out there at one time.
John, are we restricting access to basketball courts as well?
Yes, the rims were taken down every year because the nature of that facility usually would encourage close contact, or people of time more out there, so those rims have been taken down. The rim is still up at Plum Creek Park. That's a half court. If there becomes a problem with usage there, then we'll look at taking that rim down. Also, the restroom at Reeder Park will be closed at this time. Typically, all of our other restrooms are open at April 15th per ordinance. So we're not at that point yet, but Reeder we do open since it's heated, weather depending, but we will keep it closed at this time.
John, another concern that I had also is the skate park. We really kind of need to take a watch at that, because that morning day I went by and there were probably about 14 kids there. So that is something that either we have to watch, or we're just going to have to make a decision to close it at this time.
Well, to kind of summarize again, the skate park is one of the facilities that has been closed. We have put signage up there. I believe the very first day there was a group of, Chief Somers and I, we've discussed this. They're going to step up their patrols with the facility being so close to the police station. I think that's going to be something that they can monitor.
Maybe tape it off or something, get some of that do not cross tape and put it around it, just as a warning, stay out.
I'm sorry,
That caution, not the caution tape, but the one that tape that says do not cross line or whatever. I see the chief nodding, so he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we could look at some of the skating elements that skaters use out there. That could be something we could put in addition to the signage that's up there. We've done that with some of the playgrounds, put some additional tape, and trying to take some additional measures of not only get the message across, but to prevent usage. So I'll get with the chief on that, and we'll put some additional tape up there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions?
Thank you, John.
You're welcome.
We'll move to the wastewater and sewage plant. Our operation manager, Jim Gorman's here to report on that. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As all of you know, the wastewater treatment plant runs 24/7, 365. So we have operators on our second and third shift that work in teams of 2. And their typical day is, one guy has one half of the plant, the guy has the other half, as well as our maintenance crews who work Monday through Friday. There's 4 guys. We've instructed them to work as best as you can solo. Most of the time, there's 2 guys in the facility working on work orders, and the other 2 are out in the field working on pump stations. As far as the lab technicians go, there are 4 of them. 2 of them are in the lab, and usually the other 2 are out getting samples and gathering samples. And the lab is a pretty large facility, so they're all practicing social distancing. We've also canceled all of our in-house staff meetings that are scheduled, as well as when one shift to the next shift, when they've got to relay their what's going on in the plant, they do that in the lunchroom, which is a larger facility, and there's only 4 guys in that same room at the same time. We do not have access, the public does not access the wastewater treatment plant, so we don't have an issue with the public.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Any questions for wastewater?
No. Thank you.
Do we need to, Mr. President, do we need to address the flushing of Lysol wipes and disposal of those things through the sewer system and the damage that may cause? Jim?
A couple years ago, I did have thing on our website regarding that. I can talk to Miles and he can repost it because it is, it discusses all that in the letter that I sent out. I'll have Miles take a look at that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Volkman, would you, I know you touched base on a little bit, reported on the planning and building department.
I already reported on that, but I have nothing else.
Okay, thank you.
Just to reiterate, Mr. Volkman, all the meetings like planning and all that other stuff, those are all closed to the public, correct?
Well, they're all canceled right now.
All just canceled?
Right, we had one BZA meeting this week, and it was just to read the proofs of publication so that the petitioner didn't have to re-advertise.
Okay, that's what I thought I saw. I didn't know if meetings
Plan
were still
commission,
going on.
the next plan commission meeting is already canceled, so we don't have a meeting scheduled until the BZA meeting will be in April, and we'll know before then whether that meeting will take place, and we'll act accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
We'll move into the top court. Our Chief Bailiff, Tom Anderson's here. Tom?
Good evening, Mr. Schmidt and Council. On March 18th, Judge Wiley petitioned the state Supreme Court for relief pursuant to Indiana Administrative Rule 17. That was granted. The court is shut down for court sessions until May 5th. The office is accepting phone calls, emails. Probationers are meeting via telephone and through email with the probation department. Our doors are locked to the public. We've cut staff almost in half at this point because we have 3 offices, so there's 1 person in each office, so we're not getting too close to each other. We are accepting payments through the mail and online, and the phone is being manned and email for any calls regarding the court. We do hope to resume court on May 5th if circumstances allow. Any questions?
No community service coming up anytime.
Community service is also canceled due to the governor's order. We hope to resume that on April 18th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. We'll move into the IT department. Dan Jin is here. Dan?
Yes, sir. First and foremost, our team has tried to keep up with all of the information that has been posted by the governor and his team. So we've been posting links to that via our website and social media. So, we've just been trying to get the information out as quickly as we, are receiving it. Our primary outlets for that have been, again, website and social media. We've started to deploy resources for some of our employees to work remotely within departments. Many other departments have looked at having staff half in and half out. So we've been diligently trying to keep up with those requests. We are at the point, however, that we've kind of run out of laptop computers to loan out. So we are looking to source additional ones to try and keep up with the demand. But at this time, we're just trying to keep everything going in a virtualized environment so that we minimize the impact on our workforce.
Thank you, Dan. Any questions for Dan on IT issues?
No, Dan, thank you.
You guys have done a great job, Dan. At this time, we'll move to our clerk treasurer, Mike Troxel.
Thank you, Mr. President. When the news was breaking on the COVID-19, the Schererville Clerk Treasurer's Office took the steps to begin practicing social distancing and sanitation protocols for all its employees. Closing the building to the public also enhanced the efforts to protect the employees and the public. A remote work from home initiative was instituted to minimize the amount of employees in the clerk's office at one time. Staff will alternate working from home and office each week. These steps are also helping protect our employees. Since the town hall building is currently closed to the public, utility payments from residents and businesses can be made by check through the mail, which is our main source of getting payments anyway. Residents and businesses can also put them in one of 3 drop boxes. One is inside the police department, one is in the front of the town hall. They can walk up and put your payment in. And also there's one behind the town hall as a drop-off site box. So we have seen an increased use of these since the town hall has been closed. So we also found out that there are many residents and businesses that didn't know these drop boxes were there. So I think we will continue to advertise those boxes for future use. Payments can also be made using the online services of our town website at www.schererville.org. Another program is a pay by phone program by calling 844-321-9513. Another popular method that are used also by many residents is the signing up for auto pay, where the payment balance is drafted on the due date from the bank account. The other services, new utility service agreements, they can be also set up via email and fax by calling our office at 219-322-2211, extension 5, and we've set up quite a few of them already in the time that we've been closed. Is there any questions for the clerk treasurer?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Attorney Austin, do you have any comments?
Mr. President, thank you. I have 2 comments, if I might. First of all, the governor made his executive order on March 23rd by executive order 20-08. I would reference everything that is a question, everything that is a concern, everything that you're working on doing through the departments, through the council, through that executive order. It's a lengthy and thoughtful instrument, and it has quite a lot of direction in it. I carry it with me everywhere. It's the Bible at this point until it isn't. We have a term on that executive order till midnight on April 7th, and subject to either extension or shortening by the governor as deemed appropriate. So I've discussed with Bob and Tom the absolute necessity of this instrument being available to our citizens on our web presence, so that minimally that's a location for it, or posted on the door, or however else is appropriate and available. Then folks will know why you're acting and doing what you're doing. Secondly, and comprehensively, your department heads have done that. This is an awesome report to hear tonight, and how they pulled together the response necessary for the safeguard of our citizens, number 1, and to continue our services to them. As importantly, number 2, they are to be complimented, as are you, in the direction and guidance you've given them. It would be my strongest suggestion tonight before you leave here that there be a ratification of the actions reported by your department heads as approved by you, so that the record is clear that the report they've made, if accurate, and I have no reason to think otherwise, is ratified and is the act of this council. Those are my comments.
So we need a motion to include their minutes as an official record.
My recommendation would be that you ratify the reports made tonight, and if they document it with their text reports to that occurred.
I'd like to make that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Austin. Thank you for the information. Fellow councilmen, any comments from our fellow councilmen?
Mr. President?
Mrs. All right.
I'd just like to take a moment to commend all the department heads and the town employees for working so hard, adapting daily to meet the needs of both the residents and their safety and the employee safety. So, very good job. And a special thank you to Tom Schmidt, our council president, for keeping us informed as council members so that we can pass information along to our constituents in a timely manner and do what we need to do. So thank you, and thank you all.
I will second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Arnaz. Mr. Getzlaw, any other comments?
Councilman Robin put it all out there just like it should be said.
She did. Thank you, Robin.
Mr. President, I would just like to say to the public, continue supporting your local restaurants and stores that are struggling through this difficult time. There's so many employees that are home that aren't working, and if the stores are continuing to support them, restaurants are continuing to support them through gift cards like T-Bowls is doing. I know they're paying that towards their employees. Support them if you can, and do what you can to help out all these businesses to make it through. Also, Town Hall and the different departments are open. That's the story tonight. We are open for business, not open to the public coming in, but open to business. So keep doing business as you need. If you are in need of some town service, call us, email us, and we are here for answering that. And otherwise, just stay safe.
And in regard to our Schererville businesses, specifically our food service businesses, thanks to Mr. Volkman and his staff for putting that list together within a day and had it out to our residents. So thank you. We received a lot of positive feedback for that list being put together. Certainly feedback from our Schererville businesses thanking us for putting that list together. And I've shared it often and frequently, to our residents. So, and again, as Robin said, thank you to all the town staff. Just an exemplary job, Mr. Troxel, your clerk's office, very proactive. Everyone, all town staff have been very proactive. Police chief, fire chief, public works, parks, wastewater treatment plant, town court. Communication has been excellent. Mr. Schmidt calls me about once a day, just to kind of see, what I'm hearing. I think calling all of us. So the dialogue is there. I want to assure residents that, town leadership, we are talking to each other almost a daily basis to make sure we're there for all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caleb Johnson, Mr. Conley, for your comments. And yes, absolutely, please keep supporting our businesses in Schererville. They need our support right now. And one last comment is to our first responders, our fire department and police department. Be safe out there. It's we want you to be safe and keep the line of communication up on supplies needed and stuff that's needed. It's very important. Any other comments? No other comments? This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.